This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Peter Cowan. A state of emergency is still in effect for parts of central Newfoundland tonight as forest fires continue to burn out of control. It's the largest fires Newfoundland has seen in 60 years. Nearby communities are being told, get ready to leave. Their worst fears did not come true. Fire experts warned 2 of the fires in Central might merge over the weekend, but fortunately that didn't happen. The 2 fires south of Grand Falls, Windsor continue to grow. The Paradise Lake fire is estimated to be 10,000 hectares, while the fire burning on the Bay d'Espoir Highway is about 57 hectares, or 13,000 acres. The fire is burning on both sides of the highway. That means the only highway to the Canagra Peninsula is closed tonight. Together, those fires have burned an area larger than the size of the town of Gander. Some more sign of better fire conditions. The province is no longer moving people out of healthcare facilities in Grand Falls, Windsor. About 120 people, residents in both long-term care and acute care, were relocated as the fire got uncomfortably close to town. Smoke was also a major health concern. Health Minister Tom Osborne says anyone who was able to be sent home safely was discharged. Residents in long-term care, along with some acute care patients, were relocated.
The reason the decision was made to move residents and patients is so that we could do it while we still could. If things had gotten further out of hand with the fire, we may have been really in a crunch to try to safely move patients and residents. So the decision was made to move them early enough that we could do it safely, efficiently, effectively for their safety.
Now, doing that move, though, is having a domino effect on the healthcare system. Scheduled surgeries and other procedures were delayed. We'll hear more about those impacts when I talk to the health minister ahead on Here and Now. Well, staying with Grand Falls, Windsor, that's where Here Now's Henrika Wilhelm has been covering this story. Henrika, what are you seeing and hearing on the ground?
Yeah, so today has been a bit more quiet compared to yesterday, where you could really feel kind of a buzz in the town. It has been relatively sunny all day with a clear sky and a few clouds every now and then. But about 20 minutes ago, you could really start to feel the smoke in the air, which you hadn't really noticed at all the past 2 days. And now that also gets me to the biggest development. There has been an air quality statement by Environment Canada that was active for 5 regions. And that was lifted for all except for Clarenville due to a shift in the winds. Now, yesterday, ambulances and helicopters were busy transferring people, and the shift in the wind has also led the health department to stop moving people from the patients from the hospital. They have stopped moving patients from the hospital, but the proximity of the fire was really noticeable here earlier, and is still noticeable here now. There is a big smoke cloud behind me on the horizon, and people in the town are on alert.
It's like this: if I don't get ready, then when the time comes, I won't be able to, right? So I'm just packing up things that I figure I need and be ready to go when the government says move out.
We are prepared to move out at a moment's notice, right? We got everything prepared at home. But the thing is, you take it as it comes, and if the smoke comes in and you can't breathe and it's coming in, whatever, you just know you have to leave. As for the fire, still 20-25 kilometers away, so I got no fear of that come, but then again, you don't know.
I packed up today, just be on the safe side, but that's it. I know what I got here is for my kids that are sick.
Yeah, and about a handful of people got on a bus here earlier heading to Deer Lake, where the Canadian Red Cross has set up an emergency shelter. And the state of emergency was also extended to a 4th community Saturday, now also covering the area of Botwood. And in the same press conference, Premier Andrew Furey told people to be ready to leave at a moment's notice.
Evacuation is not pending immediately, but we want people to be aware that it is a possibility. That means looking after yourselves, looking after your neighbors, and being ready to evacuate if it's required on short notice. To be clear, we're not suggesting that at this particular moment in time.
Yeah, and so at the moment the situation seems pretty calm. The Beta Spear Highway will remain closed for the moment, and also people are being told be ready to leave at any point. That hasn't really changed. Reporting live here from Grand Falls, Windsor, I'm Henrike Wilhelm.
Well, just as Henrike mentioned, there is a special air quality statement still in effect for Clarenville, and the reason for that, again, is exactly the winds. So taking a look at what's happening right now in Badger's 22 degrees, those winds out of the northwest, not a whole lot though, only about 6 kilometers per hour, but as we head through the next couple of hours, those winds are going to shift from northerly to northeasterly, and then eventually, as we head through tomorrow, as an area of low pressure heads to the south, or heads south of us, I should say, those winds are going to shift yet again to more easterly as the day goes on tomorrow. Not a whole lot in the way of wind, only about 30 or 40 kilometers per hour, but still we are going to see that wind. So the good news is though that there is some rain on the way. I'm just showing you here where the forest fires are and then the map behind it. So a couple of forecast models showing somewhere between 20 to as much as 40 millimeters of rain falling in the time frame from tomorrow afternoon, or tomorrow during the day rather, through to Wednesday morning. So definitely lots of rain on the way for a good chunk of the island, particularly the south coast, and some cooler temperatures as well, but I'll have the full forecast coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Store shelves are looking bare in some South Coast communities. The Beta Spear Highway, which is a key supply route, is still shut down tonight. In Harbour Breton, essentials are running low and some gas stations have run dry, but there are plans in the works to bring in some essentials like milk and baby formula by helicopter.
Arrangements are being made today as we speak. We've been in contact with the PIOC in St. John's and trying to arrange some supplies to be brought over from, I think, Burin Peninsula somehow by Coast Guard chopper maybe. So that should start tomorrow. We've got our fire department ready on this end to receive products as they come by, but the details are still being worked out. Hopefully we'll have more information by the end of the night.
So what supplies are needed most? My full conversation with Roy Blake is coming up a little later in the show. Well, another community that's under a state of emergency is Bishops Falls, along with Grand Falls, Windsor, and the Niagara Peninsula. And Bishops Falls is where Here and Now's Daryl Roberts is with us live tonight. Daryl, give us an idea. How is the community coping?
That's right, Peter. I'm standing here in the town of Bishops Falls. I'm right outside the town hall, which right now is doubling as the town's emergency operations center. Bishops Falls Mayor Brian King joins me now. Mayor King, what's the latest?
The latest news that we've received from our 1:30 debriefing today was that the fire is still continuing to grow, and it is extremely active. However, the good news is that today fire suppression has been continuing all day. So the airstrikes and the water bombers are actively working on the fire today. So that's good news for today.
Right, so this has been quite a massive operation. Have you ever seen anything like this in your community and the surrounding areas?
It's nothing to this effect. In 2016, we did have a state of emergency too as well. That was for flooding at that time, but nothing in reference to any potential fire or air quality hazards.
Right, so we're so grateful for you taking the time to join us this evening. What's next for you this evening and heading into tomorrow morning and the rest of this week?
Well, up next we'll have another briefing coming up at 6:30. So depending on what information we're provided then, we'll choose how we're going to pivot and what actions are going to be taken after that.
All right, Mayor King, thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
The highway closure because of the fire has left a lot of people cut off. Saturday morning, about 150 cars were there hoping to get through, but since Thursday, it's been shut down. I spoke with a few of the travelers waiting and hoping to get to the South Coast.
We came out from CBS. We have a family get-together the weekend, and we left 5:30 yesterday morning. Got out as far as Terranova to hear that the road closed down, so we just decided to come on, hoping, and got as far as here, and we ended up in Bishop Falls last night, Came back here 7:30 this morning only to be told that the road's closed down and the fire is after jumping the road and it's really bad. We have a birthday party planned the weekend. We have like a little family reunion. We had family drive down actually from Ontario, and we didn't realize that the fire was as bad as what it is. And so we've decided we're going to go back home.
First thing, the wife's mother is 90 years old. She's not feeling so good, and she just wanted to get down to see her, you know, but fortunately that didn't happen. And plus, my brother's home from Halifax, Wealth, and I want to get down to see him. He had a few things planned, do a fishing trip, which we're not going to get at now. That's it, that's life, you know.
So how frustrating is it to be so close but yet so far?
It's bad, and the wife's been crying a few times, but, you know, I'm not going to cry, but I feel bad about it. I'd like to get down to see them all, but I'll get back again, please God, and hopefully this stops for a lot of people going through. I just worry about the people down at that end who needs to come up for appointments, see doctors, and then I'm hearing this morning that some of the food is starting to run out down there, and that's not good, you know. So I just worry about a lot of people. I got a lot of family down there, a lot of friends, and hopefully things do turn around and get things straightened up, like, you know.
What's it been like, you know, having people come and offer meals and rooms and places like that?
It's really good. Like, I can't believe it, really, that the people are been so good, offers to come down the house, or I got a cabin just down the road a bit, or I got a place, I got a bedroom, I got an apartment, come down and stay. What is, you know, if anybody here wants to stay, just let them come down, and tell them to come on down over too. And this guy just left there right now. He's gone now, but he just come up look to see if anybody wants somewhere to stay tonight. So, you know, it's good, it's really good, and we appreciate that. And that's all we can say. The people are really good. Like all Newfoundlanders, from something else, we already get support from everybody.
Well, speaking of support, the Red Cross has quickly transformed the arena in Deer Lake to a shelter for anyone displaced by the fires. That shelter was originally set up in Grand Falls, Windsor, but the group decided to move west when the wind was blowing smoke from the fire to the north. Our Troy Turner has this report.
The shelter remains up here at the Hatta Memorial Complex will depend on the need of the beneficiaries. They're preparing for 1 week to start and will keep things set up for as long as is needed.
A few days ago, reached out to all of our local volunteers across the province and said, hey, who's available, who can help, what is it you're ready to do, and how long can you stay? And we started there and sort of expanded the radius from there.
The rink here at the Hatta Memorial Complex is now being fitted to house more than 100 people with the option to expand. There will be an area for eating and enough beds to give everyone a comfortable night's sleep.
We're very fortunate that we've got hot showers for everybody. We're going to have hot meals for everybody. There's cots, which I have to say I've slept on the last couple of nights, and they're far more comfortable than I ever anticipated. And so we've got, cots and whatnot for people to sleep on if they have nowhere else to rest their head, with, blankets and lots of comfort items as well.
Those displaced by the fire are expected to begin arriving today. They will be cared for by 10 to 15 Red Cross staff and up to 25 volunteers.
We do have personnel deploying in from across Atlantic Canada to ensure that we are ready to go with whether we need one site or 6, we can have it up and going pretty quick. We have Canadian Red Cross has supplies pre-positioned across the country. Here in the province, we are ready to go with about 100 or with about 1,000 cots at any given moment. So cots, blankets, pillows, anything that we would need for a 1,000-person shelter, we have on standby.
Troy Turner, CBC News, Deer Lake.
Well, speaking of fires, the St. John's Regional Fire Department is begging people on the Northeast Avalon to stop having backyard fires. Crews were called to 16 fires over the weekend and responded to all of them. The department says it'll continue to respond to reports and all the fires will be extinguished. That's because floating embers are able to drift hundreds of feet away. All wood and charcoal fires are banned, no exceptions. A wider ban for the whole island is expected to be in place until next week. Well, the fishing industry has lost a passionate advocate. Reg Anstey has died. He spent years as an executive with the Fisheries Union representing fisher and plant workers. He also served as president of the Federation of Labor, sat on the Fish Processing Licensing Board, and worked with the Association of Public and Private Employees. Fisheries Minister Derek Bragg passed along condolences in a statement describing Anstey as a dedicated and tireless advocate committed to improving the well-being of thousands of people. Former PC, MHA, and Cabinet Minister Tom Hederson has passed away. He died suddenly this morning. Hederson was first elected to the House of Assembly in 1999, and he was a Cabinet Minister in 6 portfolios over his 16 years in politics before he retired in 2015. Current party interim leader David Brazel called Hederson one of the nicest people you could ever meet. And with Team Newfoundland and Labrador's Jada Lee making history at the Canada Games earlier today, she took to the mound in a relief against Team Alberta at the Games in Niagara this morning, making her the first ever female to play baseball at the Canada Games. She sat down all 3 batters she faced in the game. The first ball she pitched was collected and will be going into the Sports Hall of Fame. Well, moving forward is an annual motorcycle ride that takes place in Happy Valley Goose Bay to Labrador West. It's in support of mental health and suicide awareness and got underway this weekend.
Moving forward is a ride that we started back, the first official one was in 2017. It was a friend of mine took his life on August 6th. And at the same time he messaged me, and I was in a bad place myself. And he said, "Hang in there, buddy," and I had no idea what he was about to do. And not 10 minutes later I got the call that he was gone. And from there I decided to, carry on and figured I'd do something. I spent a lot of time traveling back and forth between Labrador City and Goose Bay, and we talked about doing a ride, like meeting each other halfway kind of thing, doing a ride. So one evening on my journeys back and forth, I decided that I was going to do a ride for awareness, and because I didn't know that he was in such a bad place when he messaged me. I thought he was just referring to me because I was at the time, and so a couple years into it with my best friend who started it with me, about 3 weeks before the ride, he took his life. From then I said, well, I can't stop, I can't.
We just finished a trek across Labrador from Goose Bay to here Lab West, 530 kilometers for mental health and awareness and suicide prevention awareness by motorbike. Had gone across the aisle, across Labrador, and had seen these rocks with "Moving Forward 2017 written on it, and I had to find it. Like before I knew that it was a mental health, I had to find out what it was, because it was just like every so many kilometers, "Moving Forward 2017. When I came back here, I googled it and did a little research and found out that it was about mental health and awareness and suicide prevention.
Oh yeah, well that was the idea in the beginning, was that being out on the open road on your own, and like in your own head, not kind of give you freedom and a bit of space from what you're dealing with and stuff, right? And I found that most people seem to find riding motorcycle a therapeutic thing for themselves, as do I, right? And of course I end up with a large group of like-minded people. It's just to let people know that you're not alone.
Well, if you or someone you know is struggling with mental health issues and need to talk to someone, you can call 811. Nurses are available 24/7 to listen, provide support, and connect you with other resources in your area. Well, speaking of Labrador, Labrador West is kicking off Pride Week today. It started with a flag raising at Wabash Town Hall. A week's worth of events are planned, including activities like trivia night, teen dance, and it all leads up to the Pride Parade this Sunday.
Well, temperatures are much cooler today than they were yesterday, and even more so as we head through the day tomorrow. I'll break the full forecast coming up. Two massive forest fires are burning in the central region of the island, have grown significantly over the weekend, and the weather is playing a major role. I'm here with Jeff Motti, the province's supervisor of fire control. So Jeff, with respect to the weather, what are you up against this week?
Well, we have been up a bit against, I guess, drought-like conditions for the last little while, and winds. Winds have really fueled these fires, and like I flew the fires here just recently, and even like all the brooks are dry, the bogs are dry, the trees are just stressed and dry. So when the wind drives that fire, it's very easy for the fire to spread. So in particular, Paradise Lake grew by 1,000 hectares yesterday, and Bay Spirit Highway grew by 100 hectares yesterday.
What about the warm temperatures that you're seeing? Can you speak to that, and what's the role that they're playing?
So we've had extended drought-like conditions and really warm temperatures with no rain on site. So it's I was here last night, and I'm always looking at the rain, and it was looking like we're going to have about 18 mils on site. But between last night and this morning, the forecast has changed. So we haven't been getting any measurable amounts of rain. So that's really been playing a key factor in how these fires are spreading as well.
Yeah, and the rain that's on the way for Tuesday, will it be significant enough to help get these fires at least under control?
I'm hoping it's going to be significant enough. I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of it, because we really need to get our water bombers in there and knock that fire to the ground so it's safe for firefighters to action the fire, and then we can really start doing the legwork and getting that control better.
So have there been any controlled burns this year?
So I'm glad you asked that question, because we've actually imported some resources this year. We've imported water bombers to bolster our crew. We've got a total of 8 water bombers and 2 bird dogs. But as you had mentioned about the prescribed burns, we've imported resources from Clarenville National Park. We've imported ignition specialists in the crew, and they're currently in the process of writing up prescribed burn, because that prescribed burn is going to allow us to do some control burns alongside. We've got some dozers working on the mechanical site break or fire break there now. So there's a big transmission line that runs north of the fire. It's 30 meters wide. So on the south side of that fire, we're going to put another 60-meter fire break.
Right, and this is a developing situation in Central. So what are you concerned most about today?
I'm concerned about Paradise Lake and the Bay Spirit Highway, because Bay Spirit Highway and Paradise Lake both have unique challenges that we have to manage for, right? So our operational considerations for Bay Spirit Highway is everyone that's on the, I guess, on the Canadian Peninsula down there, Harbour Brett and all that. There's a lot of people stranded down there that need to catch flights, to catch ferries, to go back to work. So Route 360, getting that back open is the biggest operational consideration for that fire. So that's where our focus is on that. In terms of Paradise Lake, it's of course spread northward towards the communities. It hit our trigger point, which is about 25 kilometers away from Grand Falls. That trigger point was the point where we kind of let the communities know that this fire is developed. So it just puts them on a bit of alert status sort of deal, and people start thinking differently about that fire.
Well, Jeff Motti, I know you're busy today, so thank you so much for connecting with us.
Thank you so much.
Actually, I don't think I've ever heard so many Newfoundlanders and Labradorians saying, you know what, I want colder temperatures and I want more rain. But with the conditions we have right now, I think everyone right now is hoping for some cooler temperatures and some more rain to try and get the fire under control.
Yes, absolutely. And the good news is that there is some of that definitely in the forecast.
Yay!
Yeah, even today we saw some cooler temperatures out there. It was a bit muggy earlier, but let's take a look at what happened today. 22 degrees in St. John, so that's much cooler than it was yesterday this time. And temperatures even through Central into the 22 to 24 degree range, and up across Labrador generally sitting in the teens. Now, speaking of humidex and that muggy feeling, definitely earlier today it was fairly muggy. I think about 21 degrees, but felt like 26. Now we're sitting in St. John's at about 18, feeling more like 21. And all of that humidity is pretty much gone, definitely up across Labrador, nothing really to speak of. And the reason for that is where the jet stream is. So the jet stream is this white here, and that basically moves the weather systems around the world. To the north, it's typically a bit cooler. To the south of that is where you see some of that warmer air. So as we head through the day tomorrow and into Wednesday, that jet stream is going to start to sink a little bit south, and that's going to allow that cooler, more drier air to move in, which is certainly good news pretty much across the board. But as we head through the weekend, we're going to start to see that ridging happening again, and that's going to allow some of that warmer, more humid air to move in. Certainly as we head through Saturday and even into Sunday as well. It's not working again. There we go. So certainly into Saturday and Sunday, and you can see that big ridge. But unfortunately for those of you in Labrador, again, at least western and northern Labrador, you're on the wrong side of that. So that does mean some of that cooler air is going to continue. And then again into Sunday, you can see that ridging moving a little bit closer to you, so you'll see those temperatures bump up just a little bit. But most of that heat and humidity will be across the island and southeastern portions of Labrador. Now, taking a look at what's going on right now, that cold front swept through, that changed that wind direction, and again allowing some of that colder air. But this area of low pressure to the south, that's going to be our weather maker, and that is what's going to bring those showers and also that change in the direction for the wind. So taking a look at what's going on right now, not a whole lot, but look at the wind bars. So we got on the west coast, we've got those winds out of the northwest, and then we've got that onshore flow across most of the island, and that is keeping those temperatures cooler, and then some cloud cover up across Labrador as well. But it is going to be fairly nice for you. It's been rainy for the last little bit, but you're looking at a couple of days of some sunshine at least. But as we head through the night tonight, not a whole lot going on. We may see a few showers lingering for the northern peninsula along the strait as well, but overall a fairly quiet night. We will see those showers though move in along the southwest as we get into the early morning hours, but temperatures tonight cooler than they have been in a long time. 12 to 13 degrees. Great night to open up those windows and allow some of that nicer, cooler air to move in. Certainly the further east you go with those winds out of the northeast. But otherwise, temperatures will be cool again up across Labrador, certainly for Lab City as your temperature hovers around 6 degrees. Now, as we see this system head to the south or move south of us, this is when we'll start to see that rain move in. So through the day, expect the heaviest rain to fall all along the south coast and then eventually the eastern areas of the island, as you can see for the northern peninsula and even the Avalon. That's where we should see the heaviest rain through the day, and then eventually that will move off. It moves off fairly quickly, even through Wednesday evening. And then in behind that, we'll actually see some clearing skies. And then again, a beautiful day for those of you up across the Big Land. Numbers as far as rainfall goes, we're looking at between 30 to 50 millimeters along the south coast. That does drop off fairly dramatically the further north you go. Generally around, say, Grand Falls, Windsor, Gander, you're in the 10 to 20 millimeter mark. Otherwise, between 20 to 30 millimeters is a good bet. So taking a look at the temperatures for tomorrow, very different story than we've been seeing the last couple of days. Temperatures barely into the teens, anywhere from 15 to 17 degrees. Northern Peninsula, you're going to stay into the 20-degree mark, it looks like, with some sunshine. Any of the rain should fall south of you. But again, those winds out of the southeast, about 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. The further west you go, they should be easterlies through the day. And again, same numbers, about 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. As far as Labrador goes, there you go. Beautiful forecast for you. Temperatures between 17 to 22 degrees and generally light winds. Lots of sunshine on the way as well. So let's look at your forecast. We'll look ahead when I come back.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Kenny. I'm the Provincial Director of the Canadian Red Cross in Newfoundland and Labrador. In the event of an evacuation, the Canadian Red Cross is recommending that you bring essential items only. And depending on the number of people that you would have in your household, would depend on the number of items that you would bring. So it's really important that you pre-plan and be prepared. It's really important to bring information such as contact information, family, friends, the contact information of your physician. If you're on any prescription medication, it's important to bring that as well. If you have hearing aids, batteries, etc., prescription glasses, if you require them for reading, or any mobility aids would be advisable to bring if you do require them. Also, your debit card, your credit card, documentation such as insurance would be important to bring with you. An ideal go bag would be like a small suitcase, for example, or a backpack, and it's important that you put those items in there in advance of the evacuation, as opposed to scrambling around trying to get them last minute. So one of the really critical things is the pre-planning. And so if the evacuation is ordered immediately, then you can just move. So the Canadian Red Cross has been working with government officials actually since the beginning of the outbreak of the fire. Currently, Canadian Red Cross team of staff and volunteers are located in Deer Lake, and we're operating a shelter there. So last evening, the shelter opened at 7 p.m., and so we're expecting to have people arrive there throughout the day.
Communities on the Canagra Peninsula continue to be cut off tonight, with the only highway closed because of forest fires. Supplies are starting to run low. Roy Drake is the Deputy Mayor of Harbour Breton. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening, Peter.
So give me an idea. What do those shelves look like?
Shelves are starting to run pretty dry in the grocery stores around the region, in Harbour Breton, and from what I'm told, outside the other communities.
Yeah, so what sort of things are missing?
Right now, milk, fresh milk, bread, products, baby formula, diapers, fresh fruit, vegetables. It's a pretty scarce item to find.
What about medicine? Is there an adequate supply at pharmacies for people who need prescriptions refilled, for example?
From what we're being told, there's no immediate concern with the pharmacies. We have a hospital here in Harbour Breton, so anything that was of urgent need, they've been looking after. And today we've been talking to the pharmacies in the area, and we're doing an inventory of what they have, and we're communicating back and forth with the operations center to determine what they might need and how we're going to get those supplies in.
Okay. I know one of the other things running low is gasoline. What are gas stations telling you about what their supplies are like?
Some gas stations have run out, and some stations are getting low in certain areas. I'm in, of course, in Harbour Breton, and there's 2 gas stations, and right now we're okay on inventory, and we're hoping we can last another couple days.
Right, because I guess the plan is tomorrow there's supposed to be a ferry running between the Burin Peninsula and the south coast in order to bring in supplies. So give me an idea, how much of a difference do you expect that to make in some of those shortages that you were just talking about?
Well, the ferry is going to help, but it's not going to help like we need. So, for instance, the ferry can bring 1 tractor trailer, we're being told, and we probably receive 8 or 10 trucks a week. So there are a lot of logistical challenges with the ferry. Of course, it's not something they do every day here, and it's a 5-hour steam from Fortune to Hermitage, and then you have to offload and get back. So you know what I mean? It's going to be a Band-Aid solution is all it's going to be.
So there has been a chopper sort of coming and going. How much of a difference has that made?
Well, the chopper arrangements are being made today as we speak. We've been in contact with the PIOC in St. John's and trying to arrange some supplies to be brought over from, I think, Burin Peninsula somehow by Coast Guard chopper maybe. So that should start tomorrow. We've got our fire department ready on this end to receive products as they come by, but the details are still being worked out. Hopefully we'll have more information by the end of the night.
What sort of supplies are you expecting on that chopper?
We're expecting, again, say the baby formulas, the bread, milk, hopefully, you know what I mean? All these things that people are running out of. Chicken, fresh chicken, you know, those kinds of things.
We've been talking a lot about supplies, but there are also people looking to go back and forth, especially folks that may have gone down for a visit and haven't been able to get home. What sort of stories are you hearing from folks that haven't been able to get out?
Well, a lot of people have been trying to get out, and we have people that are home on vacation, people that are trying to get back to work, people that have medical appointments. Some people have been able to hop a ride across the Fortune or Grand Bank on some personal longliners or speedboats. Others have taken the ferry route through Rencontre East to Bay Largent from Pools Cove. But of course, that is a 4-hour run, can only happen once a day, and capacity is only 34 people. I think yesterday they left 55 people on the wharf. However, I'm told that some personal watercraft have helped out there and taken some people across the day to clear up some of the traffic.
So people are just pitching in if they've got a long liner or they've got another boat, yes, and just giving people a ride.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. Yeah, a lot of people are helping out, I must say.
And for the folks that are still stuck there, have you been showing them a good time? You know, at least kind of try and keep their spirits up while they wait for that road to open?
Yeah, well, most of them are with family. There's some strangers in town, you know, from outside, and they're being accommodated at the RV park or the hotels or whatever in the area. But for most, you know, most of these people are people that need vehicles to go with them. So they're kind of a little anxious and a little more stressed out about getting out, and they don't know when that's going to be, of course.
Well, thank you very much for giving us an update, and good luck. Hopefully the road opens soon.
All right. Thank you very much.
The fires in central Newfoundland have been affecting the healthcare system. Patients have been moved out of central, and that's having a ripple effect affecting surgeries in other parts of the province. The Minister of Health is here to explain the impact. Tom Osborne, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure indeed. And before we start, let me just say I want to thank all of the emergency workers who've been a part of this. When we need our healthcare professionals, they step up to the plate. They did in this particular case. We've got the same healthcare professionals who've gone above and beyond throughout the pandemic and the cyber attack, have stepped up voluntarily to move with patients. So.
I want to ask, where are these patients moving to? Because even before this, there were not a lot of extra hospital beds. Capacity in the system was a struggle even before we started having to move more people into the facilities.
Whenever we've got a situation like this where we need urgent attention, we've got Central Health has been working closely with Western Health and Eastern Health. We've been in communication with both Western Health and Eastern Health, and they've stepped up to the plate as well. So we had over 200 patients or 200 individuals that we needed to look at, how we move those individuals. So we've had just under 70 residents of long-term care that have moved to Western Health, just under 50 patients in acute care that have moved to Eastern Health, under 10 that have moved to Western Health in acute care, and those that could safely be sent home and were able to be sent home have been sent home at this particular time.
Why is there the need to move these patients, especially since the fire is still quite a ways away from the community?
We've taken our advice from Emergency Operations Center and those, the firefighters that are closest to the situation. So the fire was getting uncomfortably close to Grand Falls, Windsor, Botwood region, but the smoke and the intensity of the smoke was another concern. So part of the reason for moving both residents of long-term care and patients, and I should say that the movement now has stopped because the situation with the fire is changing. Hopefully will continue to ease up and allow emergency personnel, firefighters, to get it under control. But the reason the decision was made to move residents and patients is so that we could do it while we still could. If things had gotten further out of hand with the fire, we may have been really in a crunch to try to safely move patients and residents. So the decision was made to move them early enough that we could do it safely, efficiently, effectively for their safety.
For elderly patients, moving them out of their familiar surroundings, moving them away from their family who may come in on a regular basis to help them, that comes at a cost. Are you concerned about the impact that this is going to have on those residents?
Well, those things have to be carefully evaluated, and there is an impact on some of the residents. There's an impact on some patients. There's a domino effect on Western Health for accepting additional residents or patients, a domino effect on Eastern Health for accepting those patients, and it impacts people who are waiting on scheduled surgeries as well. So this is not a decision that the health authorities or government take lightly at all. But if we had waited and the fire had gotten to the point that patients could not be safely transported, could not be safely moved, we'd be facing a completely different situation. So, the proactive decision was made to move them while it was safe to do so, because, the spread of the fire, how quickly the fire was spreading is not something that anybody has control of. So we control what we can control. I do want to take this opportunity, to say to patients who've had their surgeries cancelled, to the families of patients that have had their surgeries cancelled, this is a time of anxiety and pressure on those patients as well. We understand that. We're extremely sympathetic to the fact that it is having some disruption on those families and patients. And we just want to say, that we are going to try and get services back to normal as quickly as possible for you.
Well, Tom Osborne, I appreciate you giving us an update. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
U.S. President Joe Biden is on the road now that he's recovered from COVID-19. Today, he visited parts of Kentucky, which experienced historic flooding at the end of last month. It gave him a chance to talk about a bill that passed by the Senate yesterday. The CBC's Julia Wong has the details.
President Biden landed in eastern Kentucky this morning to visit communities hardest hit by floodwaters. The president and first lady surveyed the damage and met with families affected by the devastation.
The weather may be beyond our control for now, but it's not beyond our control. And I promise you, we're staying, the federal government along with the state and county and the city, we're staying until everybody's back to where they were. Not a joke.
Massive amounts of rain fell on parts of the state near the end of July. Water levels in rivers rose quickly, sweeping away houses and vehicles. At least 37 people have died, and there have been hundreds of rescue missions. Some people are still unaccounted for. It could take years to rebuild these communities. The president has approved a major disaster declaration for Kentucky, freeing up federal funding for the state. In the backdrop of today's visit is the U.S. Senate passing a sweeping bill yesterday.
Because of a number of things we got done on a bipartisan basis, like a $200 million infrastructure project, like what we're doing today, we passed yesterday, helping take care of everything from health care to God knows what else.
The bill includes close to $400 billion to tackle climate change. It's now headed to the Democrat-controlled House, where it is expected to pass later this week. Julia Wong, CBC News, Washington.
Ashley, it's amazing how much of an effect the winds have on the fire situation and which communities end up being affected. Because I guess things are changing even since your last forecast.
Yeah, things definitely are changing. We talked about Clarenville under that air quality statement, and now areas on the south coast. Let's take a look at that. So the Niagara Peninsula as well as the Burin Peninsula, you are now under a special air quality statement, and that is because those winds have shifted. And we're going to see that continue to shift as we head through tomorrow, and then even continuing into Wednesday morning. You can see those winds will still be out of the northeast, which means those areas will likely be affected, and we'll probably see this continue, these special air quality statements, and then they'll just basically follow whoever is downwind of those fires. So Wednesday morning still in that onshore flow, so that means showers will continue, or at least the chance of showers and drizzle will continue for any areas that are in that onshore flow. Generally starting to clear out for central, west coast, as well as a good chunk of the big land as well, but the next system will move in and continue to bring those showers through. There we go. This thing, I think it's time to throw this out. But it will continue as we head through the afternoon on Wednesday. Take a look at the temperatures. 27 degrees for Happy Valley, Goose Bay, 26 in Cartwright. You're going to be in the double digits as well for Lab City. And temperatures, though, in those areas, in that onshore flow, still staying quite cool. 15 degrees in St. John's, but the further west you go, those temperatures will be a bit warmer, about 20 degrees in Corner Brook, 18 in St. Anthony. Now, as we head through Thursday, temperatures are going to stay cool again. That means we're staying in that onshore flow, so 16 to 18 degrees through Gander, St. John's, Marystown even. A little bit more cloudy periods expected for central and the west coast, but that shower activity still continuing along southern areas of the island. And then another lovely day for a good chunk of the big land. Look, 25 degrees in Happy Valley, Goose Bay again on Thursday. That says that we start to see that ridging, and you can even see where those winds are as well. And Lab City, you'll hover around 19 degrees. Now, don't worry, it's going to get warm again. Summer is not over for St. John's or Eastern Newfoundland. Take a look at that. So 20 degrees by the time we get into Friday, warming up again on Saturday, but there is a chance of showers pretty much across the board. Just a few, but still looking at that chance of showers. Now for central Newfoundland, you're looking at your temperatures climbing much warmer as we head through Saturday with generally gray skies, maybe more periods of rain expected for western Newfoundland, and the temperatures will be between 21 and 24 degrees. Overnight lows still staying quite mild though, pretty much as we get into next week. And then for eastern Labrador, there's your nice stretch of weather. You won't really see those showers return until Friday. Saturday at this point looking beautiful. Cloudy periods and 24 degrees. And then for western Labrador, a bit cooler, at least the trend will be a bit cooler. Some showers on Thursday morning, and then by Friday and Saturday, still looking at some showers, but the sun will peek out, it looks like, by Saturday. Take a look at this beauty. Isn't that a great shot?
Ooh, look at that haze. I really like that nice haze down by the water.
Yeah, it's a great shot. This is the sun rising over the Humber Valley. David captured this beautiful shot. I love the clouds. They always look like a painting to me, but yeah. So anyway, if you want to share some photos with us, send them to my Facebook page, Twitter, or email them at nlphotos@cbc.ca.
It's interesting, Ashley, looking at the temperatures that we've had here in St. John's. The last time that our daytime high was below 17 degrees was the middle of June. So it's funny, those forecasts you were talking about, 16, 15 degrees for St. John's, these may in fact be the coolest temperatures we've had in almost 2 months.
Coolest daytime temperatures.
Yeah, the coolest highs. Yeah,
right.
It goes down, gets cooler overnight. But
yeah, it's pretty incredible. We've definitely had a nice stretch of warm weather, but like I said in that long range forecast, it is coming back. So don't worry. I know what they say after Regatta Day that
That's the end of summer.
It's the end of summer. Don't worry, it's not.
We're going to hold you to that.
Okay. That's fine.
And that's it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching, everyone.
Good night.